Welcome to Cooking with the Frisbees. Guess what we're doing tonight? Thankfully, I love this group called Cooking on a Boat, and they are from all over the world, and so I get these great ideas. And tonight we're cooking PLOV, and it's from Uzbekistan, and it literally, they have chefs that are renowned for this, and they make it for thousands of people, and they make it for huge celebrations like weddings and ceremonies. And so I'm doing a variation of it here in my kitchen. So it needs carrots, it needs onions, and we're using a chuck beef. So the fun thing is about this one is nothing has to be cut super small. They basically said keep everything big and chunky, and it'll break down a little bit as you cook it. So those are my onions. One onion, quick chop. This is not a julienne by any means, so don't give me crap about it. But it's just a big, chunky.
Who's Julianne?
It's just a big, chunky slice of carrot. It's not gonna be a perfect julienne. And then lastly is our beet chunks. I already did a little bit of this ahead of time. Lastly is our beet chunks. This is a chuck, so there's some fat on it and gristling in it, and it's not the most tender. So what we're gonna do is cook it down, and it's gonna cook for like an hour. And you add a bunch of spices, and you add whole heads of garlic and your carrots and onions. And then on top of it, typically they use a rice, and they put the rice over the top, and as the meat and everything simmers, the rice cooks on top of all that flavor. But A, I don't have any long grain rice, and B, we're being super healthy. So I'm going to use quinoa. So this is just a cup of quinoa that I'm gonna substitute for the rice. I'm probably making half the recipe that they would typically make, simply because, well, it's just us. So I'm gonna go ahead, sear off my beef, add my onions, and we'll be back in just a little bit. Welcome back. It's time. We're gonna start cooking off the meat. Really hot pan. And we're just gonna put it all in there and let it go for like 7 minutes. We're trying just to brown it off. This is vegetable oil. You can use canola oil. Definitely anything that'll let you go with a really high heat cooking. And we're just gonna let it fry, sizzle, then we'll turn it down a little bit lower, add the onions, let them cook, and then we're gonna add the carrots and a ton of spices. Be right back. Sizzle, sizzle.
Don't you just love the smell of meat searing?
I know you do.
I do. I'll have to share the story one day of how my mom used to pop me in the back of the head for sniffing the meat at the meat counter. I've had a love affair with beef my entire life. But Beth has taught me that I can't eat it raw.
Nope. No more raw eating in his house.
Although when I do make the hamburger patties, I do find a way to slip some in. They call that steak tartare.
That's the reason you don't make the hamburger patties anymore.
I noticed that. Oh, but it smells good. I wish we had smell-o-vision.
See, it's getting nice and brown. We're just gonna roll these around in here. So chuck is a really tough meat, so we want to get a pretty color on it. so that it seals in some of the flavor, and then we're gonna cook it for a really long time. So once we get everything, all the layers in here, this is really gonna braise for about an hour. Once we get everything in here and kind of cooked off. And it's gonna braise for about an hour before we put anything like the rice or the, well, I'm using quinoa, before we put the quinoa in. Oh yeah. We're definitely not trying to cook this at all. We're just browning it. I like when it gets stuck to the bottom a little bit because I know that that's giving flavor. Yeah, I think this is just about ready to start adding my onion.
That looks beautiful.
Okay. I'm going to turn it down a bit. Just add my onions to it. Toss those. Like I said, they said keep them big and chunky. They'll break down more as they cook, but we're going to leave them pretty big and chunky. I love onion. It's one of my favorites.
Smells good cooking. There's nothing like onion and garlic cooking in the house.
All right, we're gonna let those cook down for a little bit, probably about 7 minutes. And then I'll come back and add the rest of my carrots and flavor. All right, we've been cooking for 7 minutes. We've got, we can see some browning going on at the bottom. That's what we want. That's flavor. So it's time now to go ahead, add the carrots, all the flavor, and then the water to start braising. So here's my carrots. Again, they're chunky, not necessarily julienne, but you layer them on top. This was something interesting. They don't stir this dish once you put the carrots in. So everything just kind of goes on top. Paprika. This is a Spanish paprika, not a smoked paprika. Cumin. One of my favorite spices ever. Bay leaves. I wish I had a bay leaf tree. Water. I'm going to calm this down. I'm going to add some salt and pepper. I'm going to end up putting the lid on it, and we're going to let this go for an hour before we ever add the, well, what they would add is rice, but what I'm going to use is quinoa. That's it. See you in an hour. Bella's gonna help. Okay, here we come. Back again. It's been an hour. Let's see what it looks like. Oh, it looks pretty good. You're still not supposed to touch it, but I'm just gonna zhuzh it. So what we're gonna do at this point, this is where you add your rice, but I'm adding quinoa. Then I've rinsed it and it has set for a minute, and I'm just gonna pour it over the top. Try and do it somewhat evenly. Again, you're not supposed to mix it yet.
What's the purpose of it not mixing it, though? I don't understand that.
Well, because you want the meat to braise, and you want the the rice, or in my case quinoa, to cook. And everything goes on in layers. So we're gonna let this go on. I've got a lot of liquid in there still because my lid is really tight. So I'm just barely gonna add a little bit more hot water here, just so that my quinoa is completely covered. And then we're going to...
What's this dish called again?
PLOV. So the pronunciation is P-A-L-O-V, PLOV. It's Uzbekistan, and it's a very famous meal for them. They cook it a lot for special occasions. So the last thing we're gonna do is we're gonna put an entire clove of garlic, entire clove, unpeeled, nothing else, and it goes down into the stew. We're gonna cover it, and it's gonna cook for at least another 20 minutes. So we will come back in 20 minutes and see how fabulous it looks.
All right. PLOV.
I know, it's PLOV.
PLOV. Okay, Fräulein.
This is it, the reveal.
All right.
Find out how it turned out. All right. I think it looks good. They usually take out the garlic. I think it looks fantastic. How are you supposed to take garlic out?
Looks good. You need tongs.
I guess so. I'll just use my fingers. All right, and so now is when you're just supposed to like mix it all up. Oh my gosh. It smells awesome. It looks amazing. Uh-oh. I made a mess. As usual. Oh, you want to try it? Hold on.
Taste test.
Taste test. Ooh, it's hot.
That's good. It's really good. It's got a very earthy,
Very earthy. Well, that's partly the quinoa.
natural.
I think it needs more salt.
I do too. It's got a little sweetness to it at the end of
The
that.
carrots. So the carrots give it the sweetness. I'm gonna add some more salt, but I think we've got our PLOV. I'm excited. This turned out fabulous. I hope you guys like it.
What's the is it supposed to be healthy? What's the whole point of it?
So the point of this was just that it was going to be something different that I've never made before. That had some beef that's a lower cut of meat that you could cook down and make it a little bit less chewy, and add some sweetness and flavor and do something we've never done before, and I think it turned out cool.
It tastes good to me.
Dinner time.
Successful. Thanks for watching. Cooking with the Frisbees. I'll take a picture once it's in the bowl. See ya.